Okay, we're back with another one. And today we'll be talking about Gunna and his involvement in the YSL indictment. Let's get into it. Gunna was born Sergio Giovanni Kitchens in June 14th, 1993 in College Park, Georgia. He was raised by his mother and his 4 older brothers. Though his mother and father weren't together, his father remained a strong presence in his life. Gunna began his journey as a rapper at a very young age. He started making music at age 15 growing up in Atlanta. He experienced his share of hardships. One of his brothers was shot and killed in 2006, and Gunna faced his own struggles with drug abuse. He had a job for a short period of time. He worked as a short order cook, but would soon quit. Gunna would enroll in college but would drop out his freshman year. It is around this time he would face his first drug-related charges. Realizing that he had to find a better way, Gunna would start rapping. He would record at a local studio his friend owned. His hard work would pay off when a friend of his would introduce him to the rapper Young Thug, who would form a close friendship with Gunna and would later sign him to his YSL label. Gunna would go on to drop 2 mixtapes, Drip Season 1 and Drip Season 2, which were both minor successes. But it is his third project, Drip Harder, with Young Thug that really took his career to the next level. But his rap career wasn't all easy sailing. What's a rap career without a little hip-hop beef? In a video floating online, rapper Sauce Walker can be seen calling Gunna a snitch for an interview he did with CNN before he was famous, speaking on his incarcerated cousin's murder case.
Black folk, I'm on y'all like, how's all the black folk in the world mad at 6ix9ine because he's snitching, but y'all still listening to Gunna music, dripping and waving all the fake dripping that he got going on, and he a whole snitch. It's publicly documented. Now don't y'all be no hypocrite fake like that. Y'all all on 6ix9ine, but y'all ready to hang with the slime, the snake and the rat, and rats and snakes hang together, snitching and snitch.
Just go to see like you ain't got no real friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? I learned from that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not happy that it happened, but you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of good to see that, be on the outside looking in.
In 2018, Gunna would find himself facing the long arm of the law once again when he and his DJ would be pulled over by police and a duffel bag would be recovered containing a marijuana edible and ecstasy pills and oxycodone. Gunna's DJ would claim ownership of the pills and Gunna the edibles. These brushes with the law and rap beefs didn't stop his upward trajectory. Gunna has been making a name for himself as a rapper, but his unique fashion sense has garnered him a lot of attention. And with money, success, and fame, the ladies would follow. Rumors started floating around about Gunna and Chloe Bailey after the pair would be spotted together on several dates and holding hands. Despite moderate amounts of PDA, the pair downplayed their relationship as nothing more than 2 friends just hanging out. Everything had seemed to be going well for Gunna until May 9th of 2022, when Young Thug and 27 others were arrested and indicted on 56 counts of suspected gang-related crimes and alleged violations of Georgia's RICO statute. The indictment claims that in 2017, Gunna had methamphetamine, hydrocodone, and marijuana that he intended to distribute and was involved in a traffic stop the following year where one vehicle contained weapons with high-capacity magazines, including an AK-47. It is important to note that Gunna was not in this vehicle. He's being charged with conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, aka the RICO. It is important to note that most of the claims brought up in Gunna's case are past incidents that were already adjudicated in courts. It is believed that these incidents are being revisited simply as a means to prove that Gunna is a member of the YSL gang. Also, prosecutors are bringing up his lyrics as a way to show his allegiance to the gang. However, it is important to note that YSL is the name of his record label, and any mention of Gunna claiming YSL can simply be him claiming his record label rather than a gang. Now, Gunna has faced his share of obstacles coming up from Atlanta, but this may be his biggest one yet. But what do you think? Please comment, like, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm out.
Good morning, Mr. Kitchens. My name is Judge Wolf. We're going to go on the record now. This is our first appearance warrant calendar, position 14. The indictment number is 22 SC 182273 at the state versus Sergio G. Kitchens. And Mr. Kitchens, again, I'm Judge Wolf. This is a calendar to let you know what's going on with your case. There are a few issues that we might take up. I want to remind you that you're presumed innocent. You have the right to remain silent, and you have a right to a lawyer. Your lawyer, Mr. Samuel, as well as Mr. Garland, they're on the call. We're doing all this remotely because of COVID. So we also have the prosecutor on the case, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, if I could begin with you, sir. From the state's perspective, this is a little bit different because the case has been indicted. What is the state asking the court to do, if anything, today?
The state's position is that because this is a direct indictment, jurisdiction will lie with the Superior Court Judge, the Honorable Judge Glanville, I believe has been assigned to this case.
Okay, and I did see that on Odyssey. It looks like Judge Glanville, who is an elected Superior Court judge, was assigned the case. So, Mr. Smith, is it your position that probable cause has been established by the indictment?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and the other issue that often comes up with these first appearance calendars is bond. And so do I understand you that you're asking Judge Glanville to take up any bond issues?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Let me hear from Mr. Samuel on both issues, the PC and the bond. Anything you would like to add, sir?
Your Honor, there's nothing to add on the probable cause. Obviously, the indictment's been returned, so we can't challenge the probable cause. We do believe that you have concurrent jurisdiction to consider bond. This is a case in which Mr. Kitchens is, I'm sure you haven't had time to read through the indictment in this case, but the allegations, just reading the indictment itself and nothing more, it is so clear that he is entitled to bond. There are, in essence, 2 traffic offenses, not trafficking, but motor vehicle traffic offenses that are alleged. I represented him in one of those cases, and he was found guilty of a window tint violation. That's the RICO allegation with regard to 4 or 5 of the paragraphs of the RICO indictment. The other one claims that he was speeding and got a speeding ticket. Actually wasn't even the driver. And someone in another car had a gun. With regard to, and the only other allegations in the RICO indictment involve lyrics for some of his songs, some of which are some of the most internationally famous songs right now. Top songs on Billboard, #1 albums in the country, and the prosecution has indicted him, alleging those lyrics as being part of the reasons why he's guilty of a RICO offense. He voluntarily surrendered yesterday. He wasn't picked up. We called the sheriff, said, we're coming down. We know the indictment was just returned. I talked to the DA, Mr. Geary, told him we were coming down. Nobody had to go pick him up. He poses no risk of flight at all. He's been born and raised in Georgia, been here his whole time. His mother is sitting across the table from me here in my office. And he had no felony convictions of any kind. We are sitting here in jail at this point on a RICO allegation involving 2 motor vehicle offenses plus lyrics. And that is it, Your Honor. And to have to wait for however many weeks it's going to take to get on a calendar with Judge Glanville, you know, on a 26 defendants in this case. And you know, I think you have concurrent jurisdiction. I've had plenty of cases where magistrates have set bond in cases. This isn't a case in which the magistrate lacks jurisdiction to set bond. It's not one of the 7 deadly sins.
May I ask a question? And I apologize for cutting off Mr. Samuel.
That's okay.
I want to just deal with that threshold question first. The court does tend to agree with some of what you said, that this isn't one of those offenses where bond would only go to a Superior Court judge. Correct. There is concurrent jurisdiction on the bond. But I do want to hear from Mr. Smith from the state. Is there,
whoever's talking.
You're saying that you would rather Judge Glanville hear the bond, correct?
Judge, what I'm saying is that this case has been indicted, and this has already been assigned to Glanville. So I believe jurisdiction lies with Judge Glanville.
And so do you have any legal authority at this point to say that the court does or does not have authority to consider bond today?
I can pull it for you, Judge. But again, with it already being assigned, I believe it's the jurisdiction with the Superior Court. But I can get that for you.
And has there, Mr. Samuel, I appreciate that. Mr. Samuel suggests that there's no court date scheduled before Judge Glanville. You might have said this earlier, but when was it indicted?
Indicted.
The 9th, Your Honor.
The 9th, Your Honor.
Okay, 2 days ago. Okay, and Do you agree, Mr. Smith, that the indictment issue notwithstanding, that based on the charge that Mr. Kitchens was indicted for, that the magistrate court would have authority to set bond on that charge? You're just saying because the case has been indicted, it needs to go to Judge Glanville.
And has been assigned to Judge Glanville.
Right. And is there any word from Judge Glanville's office that they want to handle this and that they don't want this court to hear the bond issue?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, Judge.
Okay.
And you're not aware of that either, Your Honor, just so you know.
Okay. And so, you know, I just want to make sure, Mr. Smith and Mr. Samuel, that the court starts with the premise that I don't have authority to do anything in particular unless the law expressly allows the court to do it. And I'm just a little concerned, Mr. Smith, where you say, and I respect your position, that because the case has been indicted and assigned to Judge Glanville, that would remove jurisdiction. And you said that there's authority for that. I can do one of two things. I can either just say, in the court's discretion, I'll move it on to Judge Glanville and let him hear bond. But the court is a little bit concerned that there's no court date scheduled for that. Or I would need some kind of authority from the state indicating, or some indication from Judge Glanville's office that they would prefer to handle the bond issue. It is a conspiracy to violate RICO charge. It's one count. So what's the state's position on that? Do you have any authority for the court?
Just, may I have a brief moment, Judge?
Yes, of course. And I don't want to rush you. I don't want to rush either side.
I just want to get the relevant authority for you to show that it's within the jurisdiction of the Superior Court.
Oh, thank you.
And Mr. Smith, you can check your email. I sent you a copy of the delegated order.
And for everybody here for the 11:30 calendar, we'll get started soon. I appreciate everybody's patience. We'll resolve this case one way or the other in the next several minutes.
Your Honor, I just want to clarify that which case are we dealing with right now?
It's position 14 on the first appearance warrant calendar. It's 22 SC 182273.
Thank you.
Yes. And good morning to you, Ms. Matthew.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Looking at 2021 EX001071, an order delegating the setting of bail. It was filed June 11th, 2021. And it does give this schedule. It's signed by Judge Brasher as the Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Fulton County Atlanta Judicial Circuit. One of the things that it says is that the judges of the Superior Court of Fulton County Atlanta Judicial Circuit hereby order and authorize the delegation of the authority to set bonds to magistrate and state courts. And I want to say to you, Mr. Kitchens, I'm a magistrate court judge. The delegation of the authority to set bonds to magistrate and state court judges for a period of 1 year, so we're still under that year, pursuant to OCGA 176(1)H, under the following conditions. And we've already mentioned that there are certain charges not before the court today not delegated for any case, regardless of the charges involved, that has been indicted and assigned to the docket of a Superior Court judge. So I do want to hear from Mr. Samuel. You were talking about Rule 26.1. I want to give both sides ample opportunity to argue this issue. The court is sensitive to any defendant in jail without bond, but I also must follow and respectfully follow Judge Brasher's order, as well as the laws and constitution of our state. So with that, Mr. Samuel, we can get you a copy of that delegating order, but it seems to speak directly to this situation.
It does. I don't have a copy of the delegating order. I still maintain that you have concurrent jurisdiction both by statute and by the uniform rules. And I'm not sure that Judge Brasher necessarily was absolutely depriving you of the ability to do it, because there's plenty of cases where magistrates do it. We have no word from Judge Glanville saying that, you know, with a 26 defendant case, he's gonna, you know, suspend everything else, the important matters that he has, and deprive the magistrate of, you know, your expertise to grant bonds. And especially, as I said, in a case like this where, you know, the defendant's in custody, he turns himself in, voluntarily surrenders, there's no allegations of violence, there's no allegations of flight, no allegations of any danger to the community. And, you know, Judge Glanville, for all we know, is gonna, you know, set this down for a hearing sometime in June or July, because it's just a 26 defendant case. And I think that, you know, given your authority, let the prosecution appeal if they want to appeal the granting of bond in this case. They have the authority to appeal, and see if you know, Judge Glanville, he may very well welcome having you give him assistance. You know, obviously we all trust you, Judge Wolf. You've been around longer than, not everybody, but most people. And so we think you ought to hear from us on bond.
Okay, well, I will dispute two things he said about any expertise I have, and also that I could help Judge Glanville in any way. He does a fine job and doesn't need my help. I just take the reading of that order from Judge Brasher. It's something that I apply regularly when I handle these calendars, and I'm not going to make an exception today. So respectfully, all those bond issues are absolutely relevant, Mr. Kitchens, but they need to be taken up before Judge Glanville, because he was assigned the indicted case. If you were just in front of me, like a lot of other people on this calendar, unindicted, then absolutely I would consider bond, but I don't have the authority to do it today. So any other issues need to go before Judge Glanville. And so with that, is there, Mr. Samuel, anything else for the defense that I can say or address?
The only thing I can say, Your Honor, is that we will contact Judge Glanville's office. We've been trying to reach over there today, and see if he will authorize you to consider bond, and hopefully we can get back before you, maybe not later today, but within a day or so, to see if he will authorize you to do it, notwithstanding Judge Brasher's standing order.
And I appreciate that. Court's always here to serve everybody. In a neutral, even-handed way, and so if that situation arises, we're here. Okay. And so, in the meantime, Mr. Samuel, Mr. Garland, very good to see both of y'all. Do you have any other cases on the calendar?
Nothing else from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, be safe. Hope to see both of you soon.
Okay.
And before you, this case,
Judge, just want to point out again, similar situation as well yesterday. The court declined to hear it, so kind of echo your ruling today, Judge.
Okay. And Mr. Smith, if you don't have any other business on the calendar, you're excused, but both sides are welcome to stay with us. It's an open courtroom.
I do believe I have a few more positions on the calendar, Judge, so I'll stick around.
Okay, we'll try to get you out of here as fast as we can. Mr. Kitchens, that's the order of the court. It's kind of a non-order. Everything needs to go in front of Judge Glanville. So good luck with everything. If you have any questions, please see Mr. Samuel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Be safe.